So I was gonna make other videos talking about several other things, but this video is to emphasize on something that caught my attention. I just want to emphasize on this particular point just because you guys shouldn't really affix just yet over there in NA PSO2, and obviously this is directed to those who are playing in North America PSO2. This will fall ultimately to how you guys are pacing yourself over there and the fact that you guys are not up to date. There is a video that I made prior to this one that I made way back then when North America PSO2 became a thing. And it was to emphasize on like the fact that you guys don't have certain formulas that you'll need so you can actually do some of the stuff that is quote unquote end game. So yeah, before I go into any further points, depending on if you already know this stuff as well, you might not need to watch the entire video. Maybe you want to see in the description for a certain point that might catch your attention. You can look for the time skips down there, or maybe you are aware of all these things that I'll mention in that description. You might not need to watch this entire video. At the very least, I'll thank you for clicking on this and watching the first half of it. But if you do not know much about it, then this video is to inform you guys, and this is me just talking about it and going into like some things you got to consider. This is obviously me giving my opinion / advice, but at the same time, this ultimately falls down onto how you want to play the game and how you want to do things. I'm just doing this so I can give you guys some things to think about, and also at the very least not get you guys to spend as much to affixing and stuff. Like, I get it, affixing can help you in terms of being technical and getting a bunch of stats and stuff, but at the same time, fashion is kind of the end game for PSO2. And not only that, when it comes to the technical side of things as well, honestly, especially where you guys are at right now, like, this might be a bit different because of how they program the game and stuff. That is a factor that you got to consider, but ultimately it's more on skills when it comes to you playing the class and you doing your damage. Like, yes, you can have the best equipment, but I will have a future video where I will take one of my characters that have like the best goddamn equipment and not have anything in the skill tree, and then like you'll see that they wouldn't be able to do as much without having, or they wouldn't do as much damage without toying around with their skill tree or their class tree. That's gonna be an important video to emphasize on because this goes into other things as well. But yeah, let's get back on topic. When it comes to North America PSO2, like, the reason why you shouldn't affix is because of the fact that you guys aren't up to date. Like, I already emphasized that on the video that I talked about above my header in the description. But just because of that alone, it's like, why do you want to spend a lot of money on an affix on a weapon that's only temporary when you get to get better weapons that can give you better things and functions and stuff? And not only that, like, yeah, there's gonna be more abilities that you would want to go for that can give you more multipliers compared to like something that's already present in game. Good example of this would be a modulator. Modulator, yes, you can get it from a bunch of clones. It's a whopping plus 30 all across the board, but at the same time, it's only plus 30 in SRT attack. It does not give you any other benefit compared to like a mana Reverie, which is a plus 50 attack SRT attack, but also gives you plus 20 in HP and plus 4 in PP. So yeah, there's a difference in quality and just you getting so many other multipliers. Like the unit piece I'm gonna pull up right now, this thing right here is only at a 6 slot. Most of these abilities aren't over there in North America PSO2 just yet. They will most likely change that name Crack 5 to something else, but pretty much the Crack 5 ability is like a returner or veteran resolve ability over there in North America. Mark should be obvious. Absolute Glare, that's something from episode 6. Guardian Souls from episode 6, but this is like an endgame affix. Ether Factor, you guys can make it if you combine all the factors plus an Ether. So, well, technically, having 4 factor catalyst plus an Ether Cell equals an Ether Factor. Now, if you don't know much about that, you can look in the description for the video talking about how to make Mana Rev Astral Ether Factor. It will be spelled differently, but you know, it tells you how to go about making that. And you can see that this thing can give me a whopping plus 220 SRT attack, plus 190 SRT defense, plus 180 deck, plus 160 HP, plus 18 PP. A lot of multipliers on all my stats. If you want to see me make this unit piece, I did record everything from start to finish when it comes to making this damn thing. It was a pain in the butt for me to do it, but, you know, it's a challenge for me. I'm gonna fix it. I have some pride in my work. Thank you very much. And I made this on day 1 when I shouldn't have, but you know, whatever. At least I got rid of one of the guardian stills that I need to make. And I still need to make 3 more, 2 on units, 1 on a weapon. But yeah, that's the thing. These abilities are better than the ones that you guys have over there. Like, yes, you can get a regular factor, but at the same time, why go for a factor that's only giving you like plus 10 attack to something, and then at plus 20 here, then like a couple HP and PP there, when you can get an Ether factor that's an all-rounder stat that gives you all plus 30, and by all plus 30 it's in reference to your SRT attack, SRT defense, plus 30 dex, and then you got like plus 10 HP and plus 6 PP. So yeah, that's the thing. You guys aren't up to date. You don't have all these abilities, and you don't actually have the S-Class abilities as well. I will have a separate video going into details about that. There is going to be a redo for the S-Class abilities that I already did in my Affixing 101, just because I want to emphasize on how important it is. But S-Class abilities make up a good chunk of your weapon now. Like, this is something you would want on your weapon because they give you so much in terms of how you can customize this to your playstyle. Like, I cannot stress how important it is to actually have S-Class abilities on a weapon now compared to just having anything else, like a bunch of regular affixes. Why would you have a bunch of regular affixes when you can get S-Class abilities that can give you pretty much like a weapon potential and suit the playstyle that you're going for, depending on if that certain S-Class slot have that particular weapon ability. And just to briefly mention how this weapon is helping me, this thing has a shit ton of lifesteal. Like, yes, here's the weapon potential that's fixed on the weapon series, which is the Reverie Fang. Boost crit rate by 20%, boot crit rate by 20%, and damage by 16%. PP consumption is reduced by 50%. That's like a good general weapon potential right there. But then I got these things where my Mysterious Purpose, boost crit rate by 20%, on crit boost damage by 2% and recovers 1 HP of damage dealt as HP, max recovery is 30, and then I also have another one of those, which is pretty much Vampiric Strike, which is also adding more, more lifesteal. So yeah, like, I customize that purposely to what I want. And right now over there in North America PSO2, you guys don't have that because you don't have S-Class abilities yet. You need to wait till they give you that upgrade. You need to also wait for those particular weapons to actually have those S-Class holders. And then same thing with the units. They will start doing that. And also when it comes to the units, it's going to be a lot easier, especially with the 13-star units, because you will have SAFs on those units, special augment factors. And guess what you can do with those special augment factors on the units? You can get a certain ability by having it at plus 10. For example, let me pull up the Novel. If you have been physically making these grade 5 abilities, when Novels come out, and when you can get these Novels easily, you can use these, get them at the particular slot number that you need, get it to plus 10. You can easily sacrifice one of these so you can get the SAF of a grade 5 power, technique, shoot. But in reference to NA, it's going to be like Might 5, Casting 5, Range 5. I don't know what the fucking name for the range one is. Thing is, you can easily get this ability. Yep. Like, if you guys been making a bunch of these grade 5 abilities physically, good on ya, but SAFs are gonna ruin that. So yeah, it's just that there's a bunch of things that you gotta consider, and it's just because of how they're pacing the game over there in North America, and the sheer fact that you guys aren't up to date. This is gonna play a huge factor into how much you're spending. Like, if you're spending a shit ton of money right now, I would advise you to stop, just because you need to wait for these things, these functions, because this is where you will want to put your money at in terms of the actual endgame stuff. For example, like, I spent 300 mil on one of my unit pieces back then. This thing right here, like, this was originally at a 5 slot. I invested 300 mil on it. Ever since then, when I got back into the game and I put 300 mil on this thing I have for the rest of my gameplay, because I can use the ability transfer process to carry it over. And yes, you could do the ability transfer process to keep the abilities that you have currently over there in North America, but it's going to be a waste, because understand that, one, the abilities you currently have over there aren't that grand. Like, If you think that noble boost power that you got from the pop item is good, there's several other versions of this. There's like the grand powers. Like, let me show you. You got Grand S, Grand Shoot. This thing is a higher grade than that noble one because it gives attack plus 60, HP plus 20, PP plus 5. Same can be said with Grand Tech and some other grand abilities. They give you a lot more stats. So, you shouldn't really wail on Affixes Augments right now. And if you're saying, Morph, I need to get better at the game. It's not that you need to get better in terms of affixing. You need to get better in terms of your gameplay. Like, I'm not... I understand that PSO2 does not heavily emphasize on the sheer fact that, like, yeah, you need to get good affixes so you can do a shit ton of damage. No, I've seen players with just the right weapon potential, and just, like, with decent units, like, they can kill it. Like, they destroyed bosses just with those certain requirements. Like, you don't need to have, like, the best affixes to do the best damage. You need to know how to play your class, have a certain build, have the right weapon with the right weapon potential to kill it. That's how important it is for weapons, and I'll make a separate video talking about all that later. But that's it for this video. I don't want to extend it as much. I don't want to, you know, beat the damn bush for it, or like extend this any longer than it needs to be. Pretty much, you guys shouldn't really invest too much into it. Yes, you want to get practice into it. If you really want to get a good chunk of practice off of this, farm for the pieces, combine them all, or make father worthy for like sell. Oh well, shit. I'm kind of tired right now. That did not come out right. Pretty much, you want to get these pieces, mix it all together, and then sell it at a decent price. Like, gamble on it. That's affixing right there. It's gambling. So yeah, that's entirely up to you though. You can take my advice, and you can toss it into the trash can, toss it out the window, throw it up in space. I just want to give you guys a heads up on it, especially to those who aren't aware of this. You shouldn't really spend as much right now. Like, you can get the practice in, but you don't need to have like godlike affixes to do damage, or to at least, you know, stay within the meta. I mean, if you want to, then sure, that's on you, but hopefully you're not spending as much. I would rather have you guys spend your money on something that you will be happy about, and that will, you know, be used in the late game, in the end game. Understand that when it comes to NGS, you can bring your gear and affixes over, but there's going to be some sort of limitation. I don't know what exactly, because they didn't release those specific details, but understand that the fashion is going to carry over. So, right now, fashion is something you will want to focus heavily on, just because, you know, this is your waifu husband trap. I was about to say something else. Waifu husband though trap. Like, you want to spoil them. This is your character. This is someone you created in the damn game. Like, show some love to them. But anyways, that last part was like more my opinion. Do whatever you want with your characters. I know that some of my pals would just make a bunch of characters and just use them as fucking slaves. I'm not a big fan of that. I tend to show love to my characters, make designs for them, you know, have some story behind them as well. But yeah, anyways, that is it for this video. If you want to see anything else, you can look at my channel and stuff. But I thank you guys for watching. I don't know. Do whatever with this. I do have a bunch of other videos coming out. I am going to go into details on how to actually make some grade 5 abilities, talk about some basic stuff, concepts, a bit more intermediate stuff as well when it comes to affixing. I have a lot still when it comes to affixing in general. I am going to make a new video as well, talking about like formulas you guys can go for when it comes to that episode 4 release. However, it's not going to be that grand because without the receptors, especially for your soul and factor receptor, like, you guys can't really get away with certain combos here and there. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.